It's a wonderful, wonderful day to be here with all of you together. And I want to first acknowledge my distinguished panelists, His Excellency Claver Gatete of the UNECA, Her Excellency Commissioner Minata Somete Susuma from the AU Commission, His Excellency Roman Soare from Sierra Leone, His Excellency Dr. Gideon Timotheus from Ethiopia, and of course my good friend, His Excellency Mr. Jalai Moyo from Zimbabwe. It's wonderful to be here today with such distinguished, experienced champions for the work that we're doing around the world. Now, this is the second review of the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration since that compact was adopted 6 years ago. And I want to thank especially the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the AU Commission for being a partner in convening this review and a frank discussion in partnership with the UN Network on Migration. And of course, thank you to our hosts here in Ethiopia for welcoming all of us so warmly into this beautiful city. And I want to thank all of you who are here as part of this review, and of course, many who are not even in the room with us today, because we have been working for the last several years to turn this compact into a reality. At a meeting we held yesterday with the Commission, someone said, "Is the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration dead?" And my initial reaction was, what? Dead? No, it's not dead, it is alive. And we need to resuscitate, we need to breathe life into it, and we need to make sure the world knows the work that is happening from the states in this room, including and especially the 15 Global Compact champion countries in Africa, which, by the way, are more champions than any other region in the world, to the regional and sub-regional organizations who have been working to breathe life into this compact, to the municipalities, to our partners within civil society, and to our many, many colleagues all across the network at every level. Because we know you're working. We see what you're doing against great headwinds who would like us to believe that migration is a problem. When we all know, because we see it every single day, that migration, when it is part of national strategies, when it is part of planning, when it is built into every angle of our engagement within society, can be a powerful catalyst for change. It can be a powerful catalyst for development. So over the next 2 days, our job, working together with all of you here in this room, is to identify what's working. What are those practices that enable us to leverage the power of migration? And we need to acknowledge the challenges that exist, because we know there are real challenges that exist. But let's not stop too long on those challenges. Let's not get mired in admiring the problem. Let's look at how we accelerate solutions. Because we know that there is a lot of work to do. We know that too many people continue to suffer because we have failed to build migration into our planning, into our strategy. And more importantly, we know that far too many people do not have the opportunities to achieve their full potential because we have not fully leveraged the power that is in migration. So as we do this work, I'd like to highlight 4 priorities, and I want to say there's a lot of good overlap with our good friend and partner in the UNECA. But places where I think we need to focus our attention and drive progress. Now, the first one should come as no surprise to any of us who work on the issue of migration, and that is to save lives and to protect people who are on the move. Unfortunately, every single day we hear tragic stories of migrants who have suffered because they are taking an irregular migration route. They're risking their lives. They are dying within the Gulf. They are dying across the Mediterranean. They're dying within deserts. And those are just the ones we know about. We actually believe the number of people on the move who are dying as a result of their journey is far higher. We also know that far too many people are being exploited. Far too many people are being sexually abused. Far too many people are being held for ransom along the way. And this reality, which is really quite shocking, risks undermining everything else that we are trying to do in this space. It risks overshadowing the incredible gains that we are making elsewhere. And to move us further in the right direction, we expect that the Secretary General this December is going to propose some concrete actions in his report on the GCM that we will all have a vital role in implementing. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and to honor the dignity and the human lives that have been lost of the people who have not had a safe and regular journey to take. We also know that people are going to move because humans are a migratory species. The first stories of human civilization begin here on this continent. And what that tells us is that to move is to be human. Without the movement of people, we would not have the tremendous gains that we have. We would not have the development of our civilization. We would not have the existing prosperity and accomplishments that humans have seen across the world, across the centuries. And what we do know, and this brings me to my second priority, is that the more we can build safe and regular ways for people to move, the more we can reduce the risk of exploitation, the more we can capture the gains that can be found in the movement of people, the more we can protect labor rights, the more we can ensure fair labor standards, and the more we can connect people, goods, services, knowledge, and innovation. In Africa today, more than 85% of employed people work in the informal sector. And that is a place where movement is quite common and where movement is existing outside of traditional structures. So thinking about how we capture what's happening already, how we use what we know to be migratory patterns, how we strengthen labor migration frameworks, including through bilateral agreements so that we can safeguard migrant worker rights, will be essential to making progress here. And there are some really good examples that we need to highlight and call out. So one is here in East and Southern Africa, where interregional migration is already being driven by the demand for high and low-skilled workers. So the EAC Common Market Protocol provides for the free movement of labor, and it's driving progress on migration governance in this region. Another example, and this is something that Minister Moyo knows well, is in the Southern African development community, where the labor migration plan is facilitating the free movement of people and labor. And of course, the African Union's free movement protocol offers an important pathway forward, but unfortunately, only 4 countries have ratified it to date. There's tremendous power in the movement of people when it's used to advance trade, when it's used to advance economic prosperity. So that brings me to my third priority, which is data. Because without knowing what the data is, without understanding where the opportunities exist, without understanding where the risks are, we are unable to put in place truly strategic plans. So getting that kind of data, disaggregating it by sex, by age, by migration status, that's essential. Now, we're really excited about the African Migration Observatory and the African Migration Data Network. These are important steps in that direction, but we need to make sure that those resources have the money, have the people, have the data coming in, so that information can be leveraged by all of us to drive progress. We also know that the data helps counter some of the very negative migration narratives. If you all are not already familiar with the World Bank's development report that was released last March, there's tremendous data. Please have a look at it, because it shows that migration is advancing economic prosperity around the world. It demonstrates in ways that you will not see when you turn on your TV at night that migration is a force for good. So using data to reshape these migration narratives, both in the countries that migrants are coming from, but also, and importantly, in the countries they're going to, is critical. And ultimately, we think the data shows that migration is not a major problem that we need to stop, but migration can be part of a solution to some of the challenges that the world is seeing today. And migration will be key to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So that brings me to my fourth priority, and this involves every single one of us in this room. It is the need for cooperation at all levels. It goes without saying that no government is able to manage migration, is able to leverage the power of migration by itself. It must partner with other governments. But it's not just governments. It's the private sector. It's civil society. It's community leaders. It's academics who are studying what's working and what's not working. It's the range of actors across all levels of society, the true 360-degree approach to migration that is going to be the key to success. Because we believe so much in the importance of this coordination and importance of this collaboration, we at the UN Network have provided 3 tools that I want you to take advantage of. Number 1 is technical assistance, making sure that we have the capacity to support partners who are integrating the compact into national strategies and national planning. And that's working right now with 4 states on the continent, but take advantage of that resource. The second is a hub, because frankly, there are lots of fantastic practices that are already in play all around the world, frankly, all around the continent. And within the hub, we are collecting that information, and it is available to you to search, to pull out what will work for your communities, and to learn from what may not have worked in the past. So use this resource, benefit from the lessons that have been learned by those who have already tried and succeeded in integrating migration into their planning. And the third, it's about the money. It's the Migration Multi-Partner Trust Fund. Now, the trust fund is the only common fund that has been put in place by the UN General Assembly. It is the only fund that exists that is focused on working across partner agencies, on working across governments, so that we can integrate the Global Compact for Migration into the work we're doing every single day. It's currently financing 8 initiatives here in Africa, and there are 9 more in the pipeline. Now, I'm not going to lie. That fund does not have all the resources we need to fund all the great ideas are out there. So let's be vocal about that. Let's advocate for the resources so that we can be sure that we are supporting those initiatives that are coming up from communities around the continent. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, our discussions here today matter. Our discussions here today will inform the work that happens on the ground, and I will use these conversations to brief the General Assembly this December, which will inform the International Migration Review Forum in 2026. And frankly, what we do over the next 2 days is going to help us chart a way forward, where we can truly maximize the tremendous human potential that exists across this continent. The tremendous human potential that will be found at the young people who are coming up all across this continent, and who will be the engines for economic growth, who will be the engines for development. So I want to thank you for what I know will be constructive and productive discussions, and to commit to you that the UN Network on Migration, in partnership with our colleagues on the stage and within the UN, will be with you every step of the way. Thank you very much.